Chapter 19. Drew. The group of men watched the burning trash for a moment longer before Drew crouched in front of Lincoln.
"What do you remember about the guy who put the bomb on you?"
"I don't know," sighed Lincoln. He wiped his eyes.
"He had one of those black masks which covered his face. He kept waving a gun at me. Then I was told to close my eyes and extend my arms. The next thing I knew, he put the bomb vest on me. He assured me if I would follow directions, Addison would be okay."
"Why are you so worried about my sister's welfare?" a curious Ben asked. Lincoln had an unamused chuckle. With a trembling hand, he pulled out a necklace from under his sweat-soaked shirt. On it were 2 wedding rings and an engagement ring.
"I married your sister a little over a year ago. She wanted to keep it quiet, and I agreed to."
"What?" A shocked Ben looked at the rings. "Why?"
"She was worried about what her brothers might do when they found out their main competitor had married their sister,"
sighed Lincoln.
"If you hadn't noticed, Garrett's not the friendliest person. Nor was Nate. Honestly, Addison is afraid of them. She was adamant they not know for fear of what they might do."
"She could have told me," frowned Ben.
"You're her little brother,"
explained Lincoln.
"She tries to protect you."
"I don't need protecting," asserted Ben. He put a hand down to help Lincoln to his feet. "Welcome to the family, I guess."
"Thanks,"
nodded Lincoln, rising. Drew straightened as well.
"This is one messed up bunch of people."
"Maybe," shrugged Max. "I kinda like most of it."
"Sorry about your dad,"
mentioned Drew.
"He was your dad, too,"
noted Max. Drew shook his head.
"Not really. He was barely around. David split before Molson was born."
"This is nice and all, but I need some answers," interrupted Kepler. He shook his head as he watched the dumpster fire.
"I have 2 murders, a continuing drug and money laundering scheme, and now I can add an attempted bombing to the list."
"2 murders?" questioned Drew with a frown.
"Nathaniel Ramsley," clarified Kepler. "I'm having the body exhumed and an autopsy done. I expect his death may also have been a homicide like David's."
"Who would want to kill Nate?" frowned Max.
"I noticed you didn't protest that someone might want to kill your father,"
a dry Kepler said.
"Dad wasn't exactly the nicest guy around. I'm sure he had enemies," responded Max. "Nate was an okay guy. A little overcompetitive, but most people liked him."
Lincoln had a bitter laugh. "I don't think you knew your cousin very well."
"Care to clarify?"
demanded Kepler, his icy eyes focusing on the man.
"Nate and I had words more than once," sighed Lincoln. "He hated me. He had me banned with a no trespass order. Nate went so far as to threaten my life. He might pour on the charm for those he felt would give him something, be useful to him, but to everyone else he was a complete nightmare." "I don't recall anything like that," grimaced Max. "He liked you. Nate would do whatever he needed to do to stay in good graces of people he could use to his own advantage. He had an image to maintain," responded Lincoln. "For anyone he deemed inferior, they got to see his true nature."
"Was there security footage at the hospital?" frowned Drew as he thought about what Kepler had revealed about David being murdered.
"You should be able to get footage of whoever administered the drug to David." "It was wiped clean," a disgruntled Kepler replied. "Security says they're on the bathroom break, so they didn't see anything. All the staff were interviewed with no leads." "Then it's probably someone on staff with access to David," noted Drew. "Was the security directly guarding David in his hospital room? Federal inmates usually have escorts." "He did have an escort," said Kepler shortly. "One who states only doctors and nurses went in and out of the room. Look, I don't need you trying to analyze my case."
"Are you certain the security videos have been swiped?" asked Ben.
"Sometimes there are hidden backup files on the drive that maintain the records."
"I am certain the technical team sent by the FBI is competent enough to handle checking through the hospital security systems," bit off Kepler.
Hey, it might help if you worked with us, interjected Max. I'm sure the family would cooperate if you were a touch less abrasive. We all want this to be over and to go back to our regular lives. I'm an FBI agent, declared Kepler. I'm paid to investigate, not hold hands. It was just a suggestion. Max trailed off at the unamused look Kepler gave him. Hey, I didn't like Dad, but I fully support you finding who killed him. Good. A terse Kepler grabbed his cell phone out, ready to take notes. Where were you between the hours of 7 and 11 on Friday evening? Here at the hotel. Max began detailing his day to Kepler. I'm going to take Waters to the paramedics to get checked out, Drew told Kepler. I would prefer he remain here until I've interviewed him, an irritated Kepler told Drew. It's just below freezing. The guy is soaked through. Drew didn't back down. You can interview him later. Fine, stated Kepler tersely. However, I want all the Ramsleys and Mr. Waters to remain on site until I can interview everyone. I will let them know, muttered Drew as he, Ben, and Lincoln began walking toward the fire trucks and ambulance which were situated outside the hotel entrance. Are you sure you want to join our family? Questioned Ben. We're not exactly at our best lately. Or ever, murmured Drew. I love her, shrugged Lincoln. I'm not going anywhere. Hey, Ben frowned. Why did Nate have a no trespass order against you? Future sales infringement, Lincoln explained, breaking it down so they would understand. Basically, I was accused of scoping out the Ramsley hotels and the ideas the company had for the future and supposedly using the information from my own competing company to reduce future income for the Ramsley brand. I was caught coming and going from multiple Ramsley hotels and brought to court. Needless to say, I lost, and a no trespass order was issued. You were scoping out our hotels? Asked Ben. No, sighed Lincoln. I was courting Addison on the sly. To get back to the subject at hand, interrupted Drew. The guy who put the bomb on you. You said you didn't see his face. How tall was he? Weight? A little shorter than me, maybe by an inch, said Lincoln as he thought. Not overweight. Did you see the color of his eyes? Questioned Drew. Or his skin at all? He was white, replied Lincoln. I don't know about his eyes. Brown? Don't guess. Only say what you're certain of, advised Drew as they came around the building. Fire trucks, police, and an ambulance were making their way into the parking lot. Tell me from the beginning what happened. Lincoln stopped walking and ran a hand over his face. I was in the hotel room. I had ordered room service. There was a knock on the door, and I didn't even look through the peephole. I just assumed it was lunch. The guy wore black. He had a black ski mask on. He shoved his way into the room. He had a gun. He told me to close my eyes and then put the sack over my head. I was told to extend my arms, and the next thing I knew, he put the bomb vest on me. He told me that if I obeyed instructions, Addison would live. Then he pulled the sack off my head. I was given a list of things that had to be done. He told me to memorize it as he put the earpiece on me. Then I had to repeat the list to him a few times as I put on the blazer. I was told to be in the conference room in exactly 20 minutes, go through the actions on the list, and listen to the voice on the earpiece should anything go sideways. Did he take the list with him? Asked Drew. Yeah, he did, nodded Lincoln. Brown. His eyes were brown, now that I think about it. Okay, that's good, encouraged Drew. Now, what about his voice? Did he sound like anyone you know? Lincoln paused as he thought about it. He blew out a frustrated sigh. He had a voice thing, some sort of electronic thing that distorted his voice. I feel like there was something there, underneath the electronic voice, that I might know who it is. I just can't quite grasp it. Okay, keep thinking on that, and if it comes to you, let me know, replied Drew as he took Lincoln by the arm, leading him to the ambulance. Was he wearing gloves? Leather ones, nodded Lincoln. What was your room number? Asked Ben. There are cameras in the halls. We will have video surveillance footage of this guy. 438, supplied Lincoln. Great. I'm going to talk to security, stated Ben before leaving them. Drew left Lincoln with the ambulance crew and advised a uniform of what had taken place. He had just finished giving his statement when he caught sight of Bethany coming towards him. Drew! Bethany launched herself into Drew's arms. She hugged him tightly. Drew held her, breathing in a deep breath, enjoying the scent and feel of her in his arms. We are all okay. No one was hurt, I promise. We even have all our fingers and toes. She gave him a half-hearted slap on the arm and had a watery sigh. That isn't funny. Okay. Drew hugged her a little closer. No more jokes. When the explosion happened, a teary Bethany recounted her fear. I was so worried. I was worried too, admitted Drew softly, but we did okay. I can also promise you I have no intention of ever going near a bomb again. Good. Bethany wiped her eyes with one hand, still clinging to him. Has anyone seen Molson or Holly? Questioned Drew, frowning as he looked over the expanding crowd. He would have expected his younger brother to be making snappy remarks about the firemen and police on site. Not since he left Holly with me last night, mentioned Bethany. Holly went to get some clothing from her room and was supposed to meet up with us for breakfast. Then we were interrupted by Agent Kepler. I suppose she and Molson might have met up to talk about last night. Drew felt unsettled. He had the feeling something was very wrong with his brother. He had learned a long time ago to trust his intuition. I think we should go check on them. The fire alarm is still going off, Bethany reminded him. Holly and Molson might just be around the side of the building. Most of the workers and guests of the hotel were crowded together. Drew took Bethany by the hand, leading her through the crowd, looking for his errant brother. He didn't find him. Hey, have you seen a guy with a lot of neck tattoos? Drew asked yet another police officer who shrugged at him. I'm starting to worry, admitted Bethany as she scanned the crowd. Maybe they didn't come out of the building? Perhaps we should check their rooms. There was a fire alarm. A frustrated Drew growled. Even Molson has enough sense to evacuate when an alarm goes off. We should check anyways, insisted Bethany. The fire alarm has been shut off. No one has given the all-clear to go back inside, pointed out Drew. You're a policeman? Bethany raised an eyebrow. Flash your badge. You should stay outside, decided Drew. I'm coming with you, argued Bethany. Beth? Sighed Drew as he took both her hands. We don't know what sort of damage the bomb may have done to the building. It looked like it was contained in the dumpster, but I'm not an engineer, so I'm not about to take any risks with you. Some madman just tried to blow us all up, countered Bethany. Wouldn't it be safer for me to be right beside you? Fair point, reluctantly allowed Drew. He wrapped an arm around her waist, and they both made their way through the crowd to the lobby of the hotel. Showing his badge, Drew bypassed the firefighters and police. Taking the stairs, Drew led Bethany down the hotel hallway. Wait here a moment, softly stated Drew, as they approached the correct room number. The door was ajar, and he slowly approached it, looking for any movement in the room. Drew halted as he came to the open doorway of Holly's room. His foot rested on a paper, with a multitude of other papers strewn about the floor, bed, and every available surface. Molson was sitting on the floor in the middle of the room. He had a shadeless lamp in one hand, holding a medical film up to it. Molson lowered both items, shoulders slumping. Molson? Queried Bethany uncertainly, as she peered around Drew at the mess in the room. Drew gingerly picked his way forward, trying to avoid most of the paperwork. Crouching down next to his brother, he carefully turned off the lamp and gestured to the scan. What is it? Tay-Sachs disease, Molson woodenly replied. Patient is 3 years of age, late diagnosis, treatment standard, and ineffective. I'm not sure I understand, frowned Drew. Why do you have a medical file here? Where is Holly? Questioned Bethany.
Molson dragged in a breath. Gone. Gone where? Asked Bethany as she pushed some of the paperwork out of the way so she could walk into the room. He took her, stated Molson as he stared into space. Tremblay took her and left me the medical file. It's for Isla Marie Tremblay. I'm guessing that is Tremblay's daughter. There was a note attached. It said, "Save her, save them both." And there was a photo, too. Holly was kidnapped? Asked an alarmed Drew. Molson took a Polaroid out of his dress shirt pocket, handing it to Drew without a word. Taken in the hotel room, it showed a lifeless-looking Holly on the bed, with duct tape binding her feet, hands, and mouth. Drew grabbed Molson by the shoulder. You should have called me. How long has she been gone? We can look at the hotel's video surveillance, find out what vehicle they used. We can get her back. You think the king of the local gangs can't pull off a simple kidnapping and not get away with it? Retorted Molson. Tremblay's not stupid, and he don't make mistakes. The police ain't going to find Holly. Drew set his jaw. I'm still going to make the effort. Abruptly, he got to his feet. Where are you going? Asked a worried Bethany. To talk to hotel security. A terse Drew replied as he exited the room. Bethany carefully cleared some of the papers away from beside Molson, before gently sitting down on the plush carpet. Tell me more about this girl. Elsa? Isla. Clearing his throat, Molson took a deep breath. She has a rare genetic disease. It's bad. There's no cure. Her doctors are giving her maybe 3 to 4 months to live. Tremblay gave you her file because he thinks you can make a difference, noted an encouraging Bethany. You're smart, Molson. What do you see that the other doctors may have missed? Nothing, shrugged Molson. These docs are top-notch. One of them is a bit of a legend. They all agree the patient isn't going to get better. I don't know why Tremblay put this on me. It's not my specialty. I know the bare basics of that part of the medical field. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just a resident. There has to be a reason why he gave this to you, Bethany assured him. You're smart. If anyone can figure it out, it's you. Drew will do everything he can to find Holly. Between the two of you, I know she'll be okay. I'm not so certain, replied Molson as he put his head in his hands. I'm supposed to protect her. I knew Tremblay was going to ask a return on his favor. I was supposed to make sure it didn't touch Holly, and now she's gone. He took her, and I don't know where she is. She has to be scared, and I totally failed her. Molson Colburn, you look at me right now. Bethany glowered at Molson. She waited for him to look at her with pain-filled eyes before she continued. You are a brilliant doctor. There's something the other doctors have missed. Something Tremblay knew you can do that the others can't. You need to figure it out. Holly is depending on you. There is no one else. You're not going to fail her. You're going to figure this out. Molson took a deep breath and nodded. Okay. All right, I'm going to look over the patient file again. Good, affirmed Bethany agreed. Whatever you need, coffee, food, anything I can do, you let me know. Thank you for listening to this chapter of The Wedding, Book 10 of the Ramsay Brothers series. Consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the little bell. This way you'll receive a notification every time one of my videos drops. Have a great day and happy listening!